Hi, today we will take a look at the first SAT practice test. Pay attention to this problem. What is 10% of 470? What is 10% of 470? This is a classical percentage problem, and we're going to start rewriting 10% as 10 over 100. That's right, we can rewrite 10% as 100. And then we're going to replace the word of with the multiplication sign. Never forget that. You can replace the word of with the multiplication sign. Finally, we keep the 470. Then we're going to simplify these numbers. We can simplify the 0 at the top with the 0 at the bottom. We can simplify the 0 at the top with the 0 at the bottom. Finally, 1 times 47 equals 47. Divided by 1 gives us 47. That's right, our final answer is 47. 47. Here comes an equation problem. Which equation has the same solution as the given equation? Which equation has the same solution as the given equation? Our equation is 4x plus 6 equals 18. Pay attention to the alternatives, because all of these equations start with 4x. 4x equals 108, 4x equals 24, 4x equals 12, finally 4x equals 3. Don't forget that. Let's go back to our equation, and here we have 4x plus 6 equals 18. We want to isolate x, but there is a problem. We have plus 6 over here, so we are going to subtract 6 from both sides of the equation. We are using the subtraction property of equality. 4x comes here, and then plus 6 minus 6 give us 0. I'm not going to write that 0, okay? And then 18 minus 6 give us 12. In that way, 4 times x equals 12. I'm going to stop over here. Why? Because here I have an identical equation. Yes, 4 times x equals 12, 4 times x equals 12. And if these two equations are identical, they must have the same solution. There is no other choice. Once again, 4 times x equals 12, 4 times x equals 12. Here we have identical equations, and if these two equations are identical, they must have the same solution. The alternative C is the correct answer, and there is no need to find the value of x. You can do it if you want to, but it's not necessary. The total cost in dollars to rent a surfboard consists of a $25 service fee and a $10 per hour rental fee. A person rents a surfboard for 40 hours and intends to spend a maximum of $75 to rent the surfboard. Pay attention to the following question. Which inequality represents this situation? Over here we have the alternatives. In this problem, we are going to determine the inequality that represents this situation. In order to do that, we just need the total cost for a T hours rental. Yes, for a T hours rental. But first, we are going to work with an example. Let's imagine a 1 hour rental. Yes, a 1 hour rental. The total cost for a 1 hour rental will be $25 for the service fee plus $10 per hour for the rental fee. $10 per hour. But this rental is for 1 hour, so the rental fee will be 10 times 1. That's it. This is the total cost for a 1 hour rental. Let's imagine a 2 hours rental. In that case, the total cost will be $25 for the service fee. That's right, $25 for the service fee plus $10 per hour for the rental fee. $10 per hour for the rental fee, but in this case, the rental is for 2 hours. So the rental fee will be 10 times 2. That's right. Let's imagine a 3 hours rental. 3 hours rental. Well, in this case, the total cost will be $25 for the service fee, $25 for the service fee, plus, I cannot forget, the $10 per hour for the rental fee. $10 per hour for the rental fee, but this rental is for 3 hours, so the rental fee will be 10 times 3. That's right. And finally, let's imagine a T hours rental. That's right, a T hours rental. A T hours rental, well, in this case, the total cost will be $25 for the service fee. Always, we start with $25 for the service fee plus $10 per hour for the rental fee. $10 per hour for the rental fee, but in this case, the rental is 40 hours, so the rental fee will be 10 times T, or just 10T. That's it. We have the expression that determines the total cost for a T hours rental, and it's 25 plus 10T. Pay attention to this sentence. A person rents a surfboard for T hours, that's right, and intends to spend a maximum of $75. This is very important. And intends to spend a maximum of $75. Well, in that case, the total cost must be less than or equal to 75. So the customer can afford the rental. Once again, and intends to spend a maximum of $75. So the total cost 25 plus 10 times T must be less than or equal to 75, so the customer can afford the rent. The alternative D is the correct answer. 25 plus 10 times T is less than or equal to 75. The function g is defined by g of x equals x squared plus 9, for which value of x is g of x equal to 25. In this problem, the question is, for which value of x is g of x equal to 25? At this point, we must remember that the function g is defined by g of x equals x squared plus 9. So we are going to replace g of x with x squared plus 9. X squared plus 9. And this is equal to 25. Nice. Now we are going to solve this quadratic equation. And we want to isolate x, but we have a plus 9 over here. So we are going to subtract 9 from both sides of the equation. Here we have x squared and then plus 9 minus 9 give us 0. And this is equal to 25 minus 9 give us 16. Here we have x squared equals 16. At this point, I'm going to remember that if x squared is equal to a, then x is equal to plus minus square root of a. If x squared is equal to 16, then x is equal to plus minus square root of 16. Nice. Finally, x is equal to plus minus square root of 16 is 4. And here we have two solutions, negative 4 and positive 4. Do we have any of these numbers in the choices? Yes. Over here we have positive 4. So the choice A is the correct answer. Here comes a probability problem. Each face of a 14-sided die is labeled with a number from 1 through 14, with a different number appearing on each face. If the die is rolled one time, what is the probability of rolling a 2? At this point, we must remember the probability formula. The probability that 8 occurs is equal to the number of favorable outcomes divided by the total number of possible outcomes. In this problem, we want to find the probability of rolling a 2. And we're going to start with the total number of possible outcomes. If we roll this 14-sided die, we can get a 1, or we can get a 2, we can get a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, or we can get an 8, a 9, a 10, an 11, a 12, a 13, or a 14. In that way, the total number of possible outcomes is equal to 14, that's right. And now we are going to focus on the number of favorable outcomes. In how many of these outcomes do we get a 2? In only one outcome. That's right, in only one outcome. So I'm gonna write that one over here. That's it, we finished. The probability of rolling a 2 is 1/14. 1/14. The choice A is the correct answer. A printer produces posters at a constant rate of 42 posters per minute. At what rate in posters per hour does the printer produce the posters? In this problem, we have an initial rate of 42 posters per minute, and we need to convert this rate to posters per hour. So, our initial rate is 42 posters per minute. And we are going to convert this rate from posters per minute to posters per hour. Do you remember the relation between minutes and hour? As you will certainly recall, 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. Then we're going to multiply this quantity by a conversion factor. Pay attention. A conversion factor is a ratio written as a fraction. Our conversion factor is going to include these two quantities. But wait a second, which quantity goes at the top and which quantity goes at the bottom? Here we have minute at the bottom. So we're going to include minutes at the top. In that way, we can cancel out minutes at the top with minutes at the bottom. Which quantity includes minutes? 60 minutes. That quantity is gonna be at the top. 60 minutes. That's right. Finally, 1 hour doesn't have any other choice. It must be at the bottom. 1 hour goes at the bottom. And then we can cancel out minutes at the top with minutes at the bottom. Now let's use our calculator. 42 times 60 is equal to 2520. Divided by 1 give us 2520. And the units are posters at the top, and hour at the bottom. Hour at the bottom. That's it. Our final answer is 2520 posters per hour. Once again, 2520 posters per hour. Never forget that a conversion factor is a ratio written as a fraction where the antecedent is equal to the consequent. In that way, the ratio is equal to the unity or 1 and we can multiply any quantity by 1 without any problem. The function f is defined by the equation below. What is the value of f of x when x is equal to 4? To find the value of f of x when x is equal to 4, we are going to substitute 4 for the variable x. Over here, instead of writing f of x, we are going to write f of 4. We just need to substitute 4 for the variable x. And this is equal to, and here, instead of writing 7 times x, we are going to write 7 times 4. Yes, you're right. We just need to substitute 4 for the variable x. Finally, plus 2. Therefore, f of 4 equals 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 2 gives us 30. That's it. We are done with this problem. F of 4 is equal to 30. The next question is about equations. A teacher is creating an assignment worth 70 points. The assignment will consist of questions worth 1 point and questions worth 3 points. Which equation represents this situation where x represents the number of 1-point questions and y represents the number of 3-point questions? In this problem, we know that x represents the number of 1-point questions. Each question of this type worth 1 point. Since there are x questions, the total number of points is gonna be 1 times x. For example, if I answer correctly 5 questions of this type, I will get 1 times 5, I will get 5 points. On the other hand, y represents the number of 3-point questions. Each question of this type worth 3 points. Since there are y questions of this type, the total number of points is gonna be 3 times y. For example, if I answer correctly 4 questions of this type, I will get 3 times 4, I will get 12 points. And then we know that the assignment worth 70 points. So if we add these two quantities together, we get 70 points. Finally, we are going to write this addition as an equation. Over here we have 1 times x, or just x, plus 3 times y equals 70. That's it. We are done with this problem. The equation that represents this situation is x plus 3 times y equals 70. The following question is about similar triangles. Right triangles LMN and PQR are similar, where L and M correspond to P and Q respectively. Angle M has a measure of 53 degrees. What is the measure of angle Q? Similar triangles are triangles that have the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. Over here I have already drawn two similar triangles. The first one is going to be the right triangle LMN, and the second one is going to be the right triangle PQR, and they are similar. That's right. L and M correspond to P and Q respectively. Let's assume that L is going to be over here and corresponds to P. M corresponds to Q. M is going to be over here and corresponds to Q. Well, the first triangle is the triangle LMN. M is over here. And the second one is going to be the triangle PQR. Angle M has a measure of 53 degrees. Angle M has a measure of 53, 53 degrees. The question is, what is the measure of angle Q? What is the measure of this angle? Well, let's remember that if two triangles are similar, then their corresponding angle measures are equal. Since the angle M corresponds to the angle Q, then their measures are equal. 53 over here, 53 over here. That's it. What is the measure of angle Q? The measure of angle Q is 53 degrees. The alternative B is the correct answer, 53 degrees. The next question is about systems of linear equations. The solution to the given system of equations is x, y. What is the value of x? The first equation is y equals minus 3x, while the second equation is 4x plus y equals 15. Remember that there are different ways to solve systems of linear equations. However, in this problem we're going to use the substitution method. The first equation says that y equals minus 3x, and now we are going to substitute this value, minus 3x, for y in the second equation. So over here I'm going to write minus 3x. For x comes over here, and this is equal to 15. And now it's time to solve for x. Remember that the question is, what is the value of x? For x minus 3x, give us x, and this is equal to 15. That's right, x is equal to 15. We don't need the value of y, we only need the value of x. Therefore, the choice C is the correct answer. The next question is so interesting. Which of the following equations is the most appropriate linear model for the data shown the scatter plot? Over here we have our scatter plot, and we are going to find the most appropriate linear model for this data. So we are going to use a line of best fit. This is a line that is the best approximation of the given set of data. And in this case we are going to draw this line by eye. Now it's time to find the equation of the line. So we are going to use the form y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-coordinate at the y-intercept. Let's start with the value of m. In this case, the slope m is positive or is negative? Well, in this case, the slope m is negative. Why? Because when we move from left to right, the line goes down. As x increases, y decreases. That's how we know that the value of m, the slope, is negative. And we have two choices, negative 1.9 and positive 1.9. Given that the value we're looking for is negative, the value of the slope m is negative 1.9. So I'm gonna write over here that the value of the slope m is negative 1.9. Now it's time to find the value of b. Never forget that b is the y-coordinate at the y-intercept. So we're going to draw a point over here where our line crosses the y-axis. But what is the value of the coordinates of that point? Well, it's always gonna be 0, b. 0 for x, since our point lies on the y-axis, but what is the value of b? It's around 10. It could be 10.1, 10.2 maybe? Let's take a look over here, and we have two choices, negative 10.1 and positive 10.1. Since our point is located above the x-axis, the value is positive. So it's 10.1. Yes, that's it. Positive 10.1. I'm gonna write that value over here. Positive 10.1. And now it's time to complete our equation. Y over here, and this is equal to negative 1.9x plus 10.1. That's it. We are done with this problem. The choice B is the correct answer. Y equals minus 1.9x plus 10.1. The next question is about functions. The graph of y equals f of x is shown, where the function f is defined by f of x equals ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. And a, b, c, and d are constants. Here comes the question. For how many values of x does f of x is equal to 0? Instead of f of x, we can also use y. So the question is gonna be, for how many values of x does y is equal to 0? We are going to use this table to write those values. Pay attention. Y is equal to 0, y is equal to 0 when the graph crosses the x-axis. Once again, y is equal to 0 when the graph crosses the x-axis. In how many points does our graph crosses the x-axis? Well, we have 1 point over here at the coordinates -1, 0. There is a second point over here when the graph crosses the x-axis at the coordinates 4, 0. The last one, the third point, is over here at the coordinates 7, 0. That's it. As you can see, in these 3 points, the value of y, or the value of f of x, is equal to 0. We finished. For how many values of x does f of x or y is equal to 0? Well, we have 1, 2, and 3 values. The alternative C is the correct answer. The following question is so interesting. Vivian bought party hats and cupcakes for $71. Each package of party hats cost $3, and each cupcake cost $1. If Vivian bought 10 packages of party hats, how many cupcakes did she buy? In this problem, we're going to use this table. This row is gonna be for the hats and this one for the cupcakes. Over here we're going to write the quantities, over here the prices. Finally, this column is gonna be for the totals. Once again, each package of party hats costs $3. That's the price. The price of each package of party hats is $3. Anything else? And each cupcake costs $1. The price for one cupcake is $1. That's right. If Vivian bought 10 packages of party hats, that's the quantity. Vivian bought 10 packages of party hats. And here comes the question. How many cupcakes did she buy? We don't know the quantity of cupcakes that she bought. So this quantity is going to be x, and we are going to find the value of x. But first, we are going to complete these cells. Over here, Vivian bought 10 packages of party hats for $3 each. Therefore, she spent 10 times 3, that gives us $30. Over here, Vivian bought X cupcakes for $1 each. Therefore, she spent X times 1, that gives us X dollars. We still have an empty cell over here, so let's back to the first sentence. Vivian bought party hats and cupcakes for $71. That's right. In total, the total is $71. Over here, let's focus on this column. She spent $30 on hats and X dollars on cupcakes. That gives us a total of $71. It means that the sum of 30 plus X gives us 71. And now we are going to write this addition as an equation. Here we have 30 plus X is equal to 71. That's right. And now let's solve for X. But here we have 30, so we're going to subtract 30 from both sides of the equation. Here we have 30 minus 30, that gives us 0. I'm not going to write that 0, I'm going to write x, just x. And this is equal to 71 minus 30, that gives us 41. X is equal to 41. That's it, we are done with this problem. How many cupcakes did she buy? Well, she bought 41 cupcakes. In the following problem, we are going to solve a quadratic equation. What is one of the solutions to the given equation? C squared plus 10c minus 24 is equal to 0. To solve for c, we are going to factor this trinomial as the product of two binomials. Yes, as the product of two binomials. First, our quadratic term is c squared. Now we need two factors whose product is c squared. Piece of cake, right? These factors are c and c. And then comes the tricky part. Now we need two factors whose product is negative 24 and whose sum is positive 10. Maybe 8 and 3? No, 8 and 3 is not gonna work. These factors are positive 12, and negative 2. And this is equal to 0. If this product is equal to 0, then at least one of our factors is equal to 0. So c plus 12 is equal to 0, or c minus 2 is equal to 0. Over here, c plus 12 is equal to 0. Now we want to isolate x, so we're going to subtract 12 from both sides of our equation. Over here, on the left-hand side of the equation, we have c, and then plus 12 minus 12 give us 0. Finally, this is equal to 0 minus 12, this is minus 12. That's it. Let's go to our second equation. C minus 2 is equal to 0. To isolate x, we are going to add 2 to both sides of the equation. Over here we have C minus 2 plus 2 give us 0. And this is equal to 0 plus 2, that is plus 2. That's it, we finished. Our two solutions are negative 12 and positive 2. You can pick any of those because we only need one of the solutions. Bacteria are growing in a liquid growth medium. There were 300,000 cells per milliliter during an initial observation. The number of cells per milliliter doubles every 3 hours. How many cells per milliliter will there be 15 hours after the initial observation? Let's start with this information. There were 300,000 cells per milliliter during an initial observation. After 0 hours of the initial observation, or during an initial observation, there were 300,000 cells per milliliter. But we also know that the number of cells per milliliter doubles. That's right, doubles every 3 hours. So, 3 hours after the initial observation, we will have 600,000 cells per milliliter. And now, if we add 3 more hours over here, so 6 hours after the initial observation, we will have the double of this quantity, or 1,200,000 cells per milliliter. Never forget that the number of cells per milliliter doubles every 3 hours. So, if we add 3 more hours over here, or 9 hours after the initial observation, there will be the double of this number, or 2,400,000 cells per milliliter. And after 3 more hours, or 12 hours after the initial observation, there will be the double of this quantity, or 4,800,000 cells per milliliter. And the question was, how many cells per milliliter will there be 15 hours after the initial observation? We know that 12 hours after the initial observation, the number of cells per milliliter is 4,800,000. If we add 3 more hours over here, or 15 hours after the initial observation, this rate doubles. So now it's gonna be 9,600,000. Remember that you can use the calculator. That's it, we are done with this problem. How many cells per milliliter will there be 15 hours after the initial observation? There will be 9,600,000. The choice C is the correct answer. Which expression is equivalent to 6x to the 8 y squared plus 12x squared y squared? In this problem, we are going to factor this binomial. So first, we are going to find a prime factorization of the coefficients. Over here, instead of writing 6, we are going to write 2 times 3. 2 times 3 give us 6. And over here, instead of 12, we are going to use 2 squared times 3. 2 squared is equal to 4 times 3 give us 12. That's right. And now we are going to find the GCF, or greatest common factor, of these two terms. We have 2 over here, so we are going to take 2, and then we are going to use the smallest exponent. We have 1 over here, and we have 2 over here. The smallest is 1. And then we have 3 over here and 3 over here, so we are gonna take that 3. Then we have x to the 8 and x squared. We are going to write x, and we're going to use the smallest exponent, and that is 2. That's right. And here comes y squared, so we are going to write y squared, and then we are going to open parentheses. Next, we're going to divide our first term by the GCF. That's right, we're going to divide our first term by the GCF. I'm going to join this part because I love to cancel out. And now we are going to cancel out 2 at the top with 2 at the bottom, 3 at the top with 3 at the bottom, y squared at the top with y squared at the bottom. And now we have to divide x to the 8 by x squared. At this point, we must remember this property. If we have a to the n divided by a to the n, this is equal to a at the top, a at the bottom, a on the right side. And finally, we're going to subtract the exponents. So we will have m minus n. Over here, x at the top, x at the bottom, x on the right side. And finally, we are going to subtract the exponents. 8 minus 2 give us 6. That's right. So we're going to write x to the 6th over here. Then we're going to take the plus sign, and in the following step, we're going to divide our second term by the GCF. Ready? We're going to divide our second term by the GCF. And now we are going to cancel out 3 at the top with 3 at the bottom, x squared at the top with x squared at the bottom, and then y squared at the top with y squared at the bottom. Over here we have 2 squared that give us 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. I'm going to write that 2 over here. In the last step, we're going to multiply 2 times 3, and that gives us 2 times 3 is equal to 6. That's right. And we're done with this problem. We have the answer. Our answer is 6x squared y squared times x to the 6th plus 2. The choice C is the correct answer. 6x squared y squared times x to the 6th plus 2. A neighborhood consists of a 2-hectare park and a 35-hectare residential area. The total number of trees in the neighborhood is 3,934. The equation 2x plus 35y equals 3,934 represents this situation. Which of the following is the best interpretation of x in this context? Once again, a neighborhood consists of a 2-hectare park. The area of the park is 2 hectares. And then, a 35-hectare residential area. The area of this zone is 35 hectares. That's right. Then, the total number of trees in the neighborhood is 3,934. The total number of trees in the neighborhood is 3,934 trees. That's right. The equation 2x plus 35y equals 3,934 represents this situation. We are going to write our equation over here. Our equation is 2x, 2 times x, and then plus 35y, 35 times y, is equal to 3,934. The key in this problem is to focus on the units. Over here, the right hand side of our equation is expressing trees. Yes, trees are the units. The right hand side of our equation is expressing trees. And over here, we're adding these two quantities together. Therefore, these two quantities must also be expressing trees. When you add trees to trees, you get trees. It's like adding apples to apples. Well, in that case, you get apples. So, the units of this term are trees. And the units of this term are also trees. The problem is asking for the best interpretation of x in this context. X is over here, so we are going to focus on the units of x. The units of this product are trees. Therefore, x must include trees on the numerator. And then we want to cancel out hectares, so we are going to include hectares on the denominator of x. In that way, when we multiply these two quantities, we can cancel hectares with hectares, and we got trees. That's right. X is the number of trees per hectare in the park. X doesn't have any other choice. It must be the choice A. X is the average number of trees per hectare in the park. The choice A is the correct answer. Let's go back to our equation for a broader explanation. Over here, X is the average number of trees per hectare in the park. When we multiply this by 2 hectares, we got the total number of trees in the park. And then Y is the average number of trees per hectare, the average number of trees per hectare in the residential area. When we multiply this by 35 hectares, we get the total number of trees in the residential area. Finally, when we add these two quantities together, we get the total number of trees in the neighborhood. The graph shows a relationship between the number of shares of stock from company A, X, and the number of shares of stock from company B, Y, that Simon can purchase. Which equation could represent this relationship? Over here we have our graph that shows a linear relationship between these two variables. Given that this is a linear relationship, we can use this equation y equals mx plus b to represent this relationship. Never forget that m is the slope and b is the y-coordinate at the y-intercept. Let's start with the slope m. To find the value of the slope m, we need 2 points. We're going to draw a point over here. This point is going to be P1 and the coordinates are 0 for x and 40 for y. The second point is going to be over here. It's going to be P2 and the coordinates are 60 for x and 0 for y. Given that this is our first point, we're going to use x1 and y1, and over here we're going to use x2 and y2. Do you remember the formula of the slope? The slope is equal to rise over run. The rise or change in y is equal to y2 minus y1. And the run or change in x is equal to x2 minus x1. And now, y2 is 0, 0 minus y1. y1 is 40, that's right. And here x2 is 60, 60 minus x1. x1 is 0. At the top we have minus 40, and here 60. Then we are going to cancel out 0 at the top with 0 at the bottom. And now we're going to simplify this fraction. 4 divided by 2 give us 2, and 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. We have a negative sign over here. In the following step, we're going to replace the value of m. m is equal to minus 2/3. And here we're going to write that value, minus 2/3. Now we're going to find the value of b. Never forget that b is the y-coordinate at the y-intercept. The y-intercept is over here at P1, where our graph crosses the y-axis. And the y-coordinate at this intercept is 40. Therefore, the value of b is 40, 40, 40. That's right, 40. Then, let me erase the board. Our equation is y equals minus 2/3 of x plus 40. And there is a little problem over here. We have a negative coefficient, and in our choices, we only have positive coefficients. So we're going to move x to the other side of the equation. Therefore, we are going to add plus 2/3 of x to both sides of our equation. And here we have 2/3 of x, 2/3 of x plus y equals 40, 40. Minus 2/3 of x plus 2/3 of x give us 0. And now we have 2/3 of x plus y equals 40. This equation is similar to the choice B and to the choice D. But here we have 480 and here 480. Therefore, we are going to multiply our whole equation by 12. By 12 over here, by 12 over here, and by 12 over here. That's it. Here, 12 times 2 is 24 divided by 3 give us 8. 8x plus 12y is equal to 40 times 12, that gives us 480. And we are done with this problem. Our final equation is 8 times x plus 12y equals 480. The choice B is the correct answer. Circle A has a radius of 3n and circle B has a radius of 129n, where n is a positive constant. The area of circle B is how many times the area of the circle A? Here we have the circle A and the circle B. However, I haven't drawn this to scale. Once again, circle A has a radius of 3n, and circle B has a radius of 129n. And then, the area of circle B is how many times the area of the circle A? To determine how many times bigger is the circle B than the circle A, we're going to divide the area of the circle B, by the area of the circle A. Do you remember this formula? The area of the circle B equals pi radius of B squared. And then the area of the circle A is pi times radius of A squared. We can cancel out pi at the top with pi at the bottom, and then the radius of B is 129n. 129n. Therefore, radius of B squared is 129n squared. Now, the radius of A equals 3n. Therefore, the radius of A squared is 3n squared. We can use the calculator, don't worry. 129 squared is 16,641. And then comes n squared, Now, 3n squared is 9n squared. Next, we can cancel out n squared at the top with n squared at the bottom. Finally, once again, we're going to use the calculator. 16,641 divided by 9 give us 1,849. That's it. We are done with this problem. The area of circle B is 1,849 times the area of the circle A. And we are done with this problem. The choice D is the correct answer. Here comes a statistics problem. The frequency table summarizes the 57 data values in a dataset. What is the maximum data value in the dataset? In this table we have two columns. The first column is for the data values and the second column is for the frequencies. In this case, the question is, what is the maximum data value? So we are going to focus on this column, and in this column, the maximum data value, the biggest number is 14. That's it. That is our final answer. 14 is our final answer. Once again, the problem is just asking for the maximum data value, and the maximum data value, the biggest number on this column is 14. Just in case, the frequency is the number of times that a value of the data occurs. For example, this value occurs 6 times. On the other hand, many students get confused in this problem and they think that the answer is 11 because 11 is the data value with the highest frequency. However, the problem is not asking for the data value with the highest frequency. The problem is asking for the maximum data value. A circle in the xy plane has a diameter with endpoints 2,4 and 2,14. An equation of this circle is x minus 2 squared plus y minus 9 squared equals r squared, where r is a positive constant. What is the value of r? Pay attention to this equation. This is the equation of the circle in the standard form, where r is the radius. Once again, a circle in the xy plane has a diameter with endpoints 2,4. The first point is located at 2 for x and 4 for y. It's gonna be over here at the coordinates 2,4. We will call it A. But we have a second point. The second point is located at 2,14. 2 for x, 14 for y. This is our second point at 2,14. We will call it B. And now our circle is going to look like this. This is our diameter, and now pay attention. What is the length of this diameter? How far apart are these 2 points? This is a vertical line. Therefore, we are going to focus on the y coordinates. We are going from 4 to 14. That's it. D, the length of the diameter, is equal to 14 minus 4, give us 10. Okay? We're going to write that value over here. The length of the diameter is equal to 10. But we must remember that the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius, and this is equal to 10. Now we're going to divide our whole equation by 2. 2r divided by 2 and 10 divided by 2. 2r divided by 2 give us r, and this is equal to 10 divided by 2 give us 5. The value of r, the value of the radius is 5. Here comes a trigonometry problem. The measure of angle r is 2 pi radians over 3. The measure of angle t is 5 pi radians over 12 greater than the measure of angle r. What is the measure of angle t in degrees? Once again, the measure of angle r, is 2 pi radians over 3. 2 pi radians over 3. And then the measure of angle t, is 5 pi radians over 12 greater than the measure of angle r. Then the measure of angle t is 5 pi radians over 12 greater than the measure of angle r. Therefore, t is 5 pi radians over 12 plus the measure of angle r. That is 2 pi radians over 3. That's right. We're going to find the measure of angle t in degrees. First, we're going to add these two fractions with unlike denominators. Let me show you a little trick. We're going to start by multiplying the denominators. And 12 times 3 give us 36. And then we're going to cross multiply. This side we have 5 pi radians times 3, that give us 15 pi radians. On the other side we have 12 times 2 pi radians, and that gives us 24 pi radians. Then we are going to move the plus sign to this position. 15 pi radians plus 24 pi radians, that gives us 39 pi radians. Finally, we keep that denominator the same, 36 over here, 36 over here. Now, it's not necessary to simplify this fraction, since we are going to convert this angle to degrees. I'm going to copy this value over there. We already know that the measure of angle t is 39 pi radians over 36, and now we are going to convert this angle to degrees. At this point, we must remember that pi radians are equivalent to 180 degrees. Now we're going to multiply this quantity by a conversion factor. A conversion factor is a ratio, written as a fraction. In this case, it's going to include these two quantities. But which quantity goes on the top and which quantity goes on the bottom? Pay attention. We want to cancel out radians. Therefore, the quantity that includes radians is going to be at the bottom. So pi radians is going to be on the denominator. 180 doesn't have any other choice. It must be at the top. In that way, we can cancel out radians at the top with radians at the bottom. We can also cancel out pi with pi. And now 36 divided by 36 give us 1, and 180 divided by 36 give us 5. Finally, 39 times 5 is equal to 195. And we also have the degrees. That's it, the measure of angle T is 195 degrees. Here comes another conversion factors problem. A certain town has an area of 4.36 square miles. What is the area in square yards of this town? And never forget that 1 mile is equivalent to 1,760 yards. Once again, our initial quantity is 4.36 square miles. Instead of square miles, we're going to write miles times miles. Because miles times miles give us square miles. It's the same. And now to convert this quantity to square yards, we're going to multiply by a conversion factor. A conversion factor is a ratio written as a fraction, and in this case it's going to include these two quantities. But which quantity goes on the top and which quantity goes on the bottom? Pay attention. We want to cancel out miles on the top. Therefore, the quantity that includes miles is going to be on the bottom. And that quantity is 1 mile. 1 mile is going to be on the bottom. In that way, we can cancel out miles on the top with miles on the bottom. On the other hand, 1,760 yards doesn't have any other choice. It must be on the top, 1,760 yards. But wait a second, we still have miles over here on the top. So, how can we get rid of these miles on the top? Once again, we are going to multiply by our conversion factor. Our conversion factor is 1,760 yards over 1 mile. In that way, we can cancel out miles on the top with miles on the bottom. And now it's time to use our calculator. 4.36 times 1,760 times 1,760 divided by 1 divided by 1. And that is equal to 13,505,536. And what about the units? Well, we have yards times yards, and that gives us square yards. That's it. What is the area in square yards of this town? The area is 13,505,536 square yards. Here comes another linear function problem. For line H, the table shows 3 values of x and their corresponding values of y. Line K is the result of translating line H down 5 units in the xy plane. What is the x-intercept of line K? This table shows some points of the line H. Given that H is a line, we can use this form of the linear equation y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-coordinate at the y-intercept. Let's start with the slope m. To determine the slope m, we need 2 points, 2 order pairs. The first order pair is going to be x1, y1, while the second order pair is going to be x2 and y2. Do you remember the formula of the slope? Slope m is rise over run. The rise or change in y is y2 minus y1, and the run is x2 minus x1, or change in x. Okay, now we're going to plug those values in here. Let's start with y2. y2 is 160 minus y1, 130. And then comes x2 that is 23 minus x1, that is 18, that's right. And then 160 minus 130, that gives us 30. And 23 minus 18 is 5. Finally, 30 divided by 5 gives us 6. And now we're going to replace that value in here. Instead of m, I'm going to write 6. And then we're going to find the value of b. Yes, we need to find the value of b. To find the value of b, we need only one order pair, 1 point. We're going to use the first order pair because it has the smallest numbers. We just need to replace these two values in here. Instead of y, we're going to use 130. And then this is equal to 6 times x. X is 18 plus b. 130 is equal to 6 times 18 is 108 plus b. And then we're going to subtract 108 from both sides. 130 minus 108 give us 22, and this is equal to b. That's right. Now the value of b is 22, and we're going to replace that value in here. That's it. We have the equation of the line h. We have the equation of the line h. We don't need to graph the line h, however, it's going to help us with the solution of the problem. We also know that the line k is the result of translating line h down 5 units in the xy plane. Can we determine the equation of the line k? Yes, we can. At this point, we must remember that if we have the graph of the function y equals f of x, and then we move this graph down 5 units in the xy plane, the equation of the new graph is going to be y equals f of x minus 5. Over here, we're going to do the same. We have the equation of the line h. If we want to determine the equation of the line k, we're going to copy the same equation, y equals 6x plus 22, and then we're going to subtract 5 from this side. In the following step, y is equal to 6x plus 17. Finally, we're going to find the x-intercept of line k. Remember that the x-intercept is the point where our graph crosses the x-axis. At this point, the value of y is equal to 0. Therefore, to find the x-intercept, we are going to set y equal to 0 and then solve for x. Instead of y, we are going to write 0. And this is equal to 6x plus 17. That's right. In the following step, we're going to subtract 17 from both sides of our equation. 0 minus 17 give us negative 17, and this is equal to 6 times x. Then we are going to divide our whole equation by 6. Divide by 6, divided by 6. Finally, negative 17, 6 is equal to x. And we're ready for the final answer. The final answer is an order pair. First, we're going to write the value of x, and the value of x, the x-coordinate, is negative 17, 6. And then comes the value of y. Never forget that the x-intercept, the value of y, is equal to 0. Our final answer is negative 17, 6, 0. Here comes a quadratic equation problem. In the xy plane, the graph of the equation y minus x squared plus 9x minus 100 intersects the line y equals c at exactly 1 point. Here comes the question. What is the value of c? In this problem, we have two equations. Let's focus on the first one, that is y equals minus x squared plus 9x minus 100. This is a quadratic equation, and the general form of a quadratic equation is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Let's find the value of a, the coefficient of the quadratic term. In this case, we have a 1 over here. Therefore, the value of a is minus 1. A equals negative 1. Now we're going to find the graph of this quadratic equation. Never forget that the graph of a quadratic equation is a parabola. And don't worry about the exact location of the parabola. What really matters here is that the value of a is negative. Therefore, the parabola will open downward. Okay? And now let's focus on the second equation, that is y equals c. This is a constant function, and its graph is a horizontal line. For example, if c is located up here, this will be the line y equals c, and there are no intersection points between the parabola and the line. However, if c is located down here, this will be the line y equals c, and there are two intersection points between the parabola and the line. However, the problem tells us that there is exactly 1 point, one intersection point. How is that possible? Well, if C is located here, this will be the line y equals C. And there is only one intersection point between the parabola and the line. This is what we are looking for. Pay attention. This is the highest point of the parabola. This is the highest point of the parabola. Therefore, is the vertex of the parabola. What are the coordinates of the vertex? Usually, for the x-coordinate, we use h. And then the y-coordinate is c. And now we're going to find the value of h with the formula, and then we will plug these two values into our equation to get the value of c. Let's start with h, the x-coordinate of the vertex. H is equal to minus b over 2a. The value of b is here. b is equal to 9. So we have minus 9 divided by 2 times a. And the value of a is minus 1. Negative divided by negative give us positive. And 9 divided by 2 give us 4.5. In the next step, we are going to replace the value of h. I'm going to change this value. Instead of h, we are going to write 4.5. And now we will plug these two values into our function to get the value of c. Instead of x, we are going to use 4.5. Instead of y, we are going to use c. We're going to replace y with c, and this is equal to minus x squared, but x is 4.5, don't forget the exponent, plus 9 times x is 4.5, minus 100. Therefore, the value of c is, at this point, we should better use our calculator. So, give me a hand with this, please. We have minus, open parentheses, 4.5 squared plus 9 times 4.5 minus 100. And this is equal to negative 79.75. Most of calculators have a button to convert decimals to fraction. I'm going to press that button in my calculator and we have negative 319 over 4. That's it. The choice C is the correct answer. If you don't have this button, don't worry about it. You can try with the choices. For example, here we have minus 481 divided by 4, and this is equal to minus 120.25. This is not our answer. Here we have minus 100. No, this is not our answer. Finally, here we have minus 319 divided by 4. That gives us minus 79.75. The choice C is the correct answer. Here comes a problem about systems of equations. For each real number r, which of the following points lies on the graph of each equation in the xy plane for the given system? And the given system is 2x plus 3y equals 7, then x plus 15y equals 35. Usually, to solve a system of equations by graphing, we graph the first equation, then we graph the second equation, and finally the intersection point is the solution to the given system. However, this is a tricky question because we have a dependent system. In a dependent system, we start with the graph of the first equation, and then we continue with the graph of the second equation. And finally, we realize that both equations have the same graph. If one point lies on the graph of the first equation, it will also lie on the graph of the second equation. Pay attention here. We can get the second equation starting from the first one. How is that possible? Well, we can multiply the first equation by 5. 2x times 5 gives us 10x. 3y times 5 gives us 15y, and 7 times 5 is 35. In a dependent system, we have an infinite number of solutions. Each point is a solution to this system. And finally, we're going to find the form x, y of these ordered pairs. To find the form of those ordered pairs, we need to choose one equation. I'm going to choose the first one because it has the smallest numbers. But remember that if one point lies on the graph of the first equation, it will also lie on the graph of the second equation. Let's continue with the first one. 2x plus 3y equals 7. And now we are going to isolate the variables. Let's start isolating y. So we are going to subtract 2x from both sides. And here we have that 3y equals, I'm going to change the order, minus 2x plus 7. In the next step, we must divide both sides by 3, and we have that y is equal to negative 2x thirds plus 7 thirds. This value is similar to the value that we have over here. However, in the choice C, the value of x is equal to r. But we can set x equal to r and solve for y. Y is equal to minus 2x over 3. But remember that we are going to substitute r for x. So we will have minus 2r over 3 plus 7 thirds. Finally, we are going to write the order pair. First, we're going to put the value of x, that is r, and then comes the value of y, that is minus 2r over 3 plus 7 thirds. And this order pair is similar to this one. But it's not the same, because over here we have negative 2r over 3, and over here we have positive 2r over 3. In this case, we isolate y and it didn't work. Let's try isolating x. Once again, let's start with the first equation, but this time we are going to isolate x. We need to subtract 3y from both sides. In that way, 2x is equal to, I'm going to change the order, minus 3y plus 7. Next, we are going to divide both sides by 2. In that way, x is equal to minus 3y over 2 plus 7 halves. And this value is similar to this value. However, in the choice B, the value of y is equal to r. So let's set y equal to r and solve for x. X is equal to, we're going to substitute r for y. X is equal to minus 3. We're going to change y with r, minus 3r over 2 plus 7 halves. Finally, we're going to write the order pair. First, we need to write the value of x, that is equal to minus 3r over 2 plus 7 halves, and then comes the value of y, but y is equal to r. Y is equal to r. And this is the form we are looking for. This form is also here in the choice B. Therefore, the choice B is the correct answer. Our final answer is negative 3r over 2 plus 7 halves, r. The perimeter of an equilateral triangle is 624 centimeters. The height of this triangle is k, the square root of 3 centimeters, where k is a constant. What is the value of k? Here I have already drawn my equilateral triangle. In an equilateral triangle, all three sides have the same length. Let's say that the length of this side is L, then the length of this side is also L, and finally the length of this side is also L. We also know that the perimeter of this equilateral triangle is 624 centimeters. And now we must recall that the perimeter is the sum of all the sides of the triangle. So here we have L, L plus L plus L. L plus L plus L give us 3 times L, and this is equal to 624. We're going to divide both sides by 3. In that way, L is equal to 624 divided by 3, that gives us 208 centimeters. Then we're going to replace this value over here. I'm going to replace L with 208. The length of this side is 208, and the length of this side is also 208. And then we have that. The height of this triangle is k, the square root of 3 centimeters. I'm going to draw the height over here, and here we have 90 degrees. And the length of this height is k, the square root of 3 centimeters. Don't forget that in an equilateral triangle, the height is also the perpendicular bisector. Then the height is going to divide this side into 2 equal segments. The length of this segment is half of 208, and that is 104. Finally, the length of this side is also half of 208, or 104. And don't forget that in an equilateral triangle, all the interior angles have the same measure, and that is 60 degrees. Now, let's focus on this little triangle. And pay attention to our little triangle. Here we have 90 degrees, then this is a right triangle, and the sum of these two angles must be 90 degrees. Here we have 60 degrees, so we need 30 more degrees to get 90 degrees. And now pay attention to our super famous triangle. This is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Don't forget that in a right triangle, the side opposite to 90 degrees is the hypotenuse and is the largest side. On the other hand, the side opposite to 30 degrees is the shortest side, and in the 30, 60, 90 triangle is equal to the hypotenuse divided by 2. Finally, the side opposite to 60 degrees is equal to the hypotenuse divided by 2 times square root of 3. The hypotenuse divided by 2 is equal to 208 divided by 2, that gives us 104, and then comes square root of 3. Finally, these two quantities are equal. Then the value of k is 104. That's it. That is our final answer. K is equal to 104. And we are done with this problem. That's all for today. We will continue with our SAT practice test in the following videos. See ya!